All right, let's just jump right in. Think about this for a second. There's this plant, and it grows in the most forgotten places imaginable. You know, the packed down dirt behind a gas station, that corner of a city park nobody touches, even in the cracks of your own sidewalk. And this plant, the one we've all been taught to poison and pull out, it has a medicinal compound inside it that is so powerful, the pharmaceutical industry has been trying to copy it for decades. It's a plant that has literally saved entire cities from starving, and its story is one we've almost completely forgotten.
I mean, it's a pretty wild thought, isn't it? That something so good for you, so valuable, could be right there under our feet, and we just dismiss it as an ugly weed. We spend all this money on chemicals and all this time breaking our backs to destroy something that ancient history basically worshipped as a cornerstone of health. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain on this humble little plant. And trust me, what we uncover is going to change how you look at the ground beneath your feet forever. So here's the disconnect. On the left, that's us today. It's a nuisance. It's an invader in our perfect green lawns, an obstacle for our giant farms. But on the right, that's how almost every major civilization for the last 3,000 years saw it. You know, the ancient Romans, they actually had a special name for this plant, omnimorbia, and that literally translates to the cure for all illnesses. I mean, what a reputation. So what on earth did they know that we have so completely managed to forget? To find that answer, we've got to go back, way back. Because this isn't just the story of some plant. It's a story of human survival. We have been intertwined with this little green ally for thousands of years. Its legacy is written in ancient texts, it was on the dinner plates of emperors, and it was even on the front lines of modern warfare. The sheer scale of its history is it's incredible. We're talking 700 BC, where it's mentioned in the Old Testament as the food people ate when they had nothing else left. Then, you fast forward 700 years to the Roman Empire, and the famous poet Horace, this guy's a friend of the emperor, he's not poor, he's eating it as part of his simple, healthy, everyday diet. At about the same time, the great naturalist, Pliny the Elder, the man who basically wrote the world's first encyclopedia, he flat out declared that just a spoonful of mallow would free a person from all diseases for an entire day. But honestly, its most powerful story is way, way more recent than that. Okay, so get this. It's 1948, during the Arab-Israeli War. Jerusalem is under a brutal siege. Food supplies are totally cut off. People are facing imminent starvation. But the older women in the city, they remembered the old ways. They remembered what their grandmothers called kubeza, common mallow. So they organized foraging parties, and they went out and harvested tons of it from empty lots and bombed-out buildings. For months, an entire city survived on this weed. And when help finally arrived, you can just imagine the scene. International nutritionists show up, expecting to find rampant scurvy, rickets, just severe malnutrition everywhere. But instead, they were baffled. The people were healthy. They were saved by a weed that gave them a complete spectrum of life-sustaining minerals. So how is that even possible? What's the biological engine driving this thing? Well, the secret isn't some rare, exotic compound with a name we can barely pronounce. Nope. The answer is hidden in a texture that our modern palate, which is obsessed with everything being crispy and crunchy, has been trained to avoid. The secret is in the slime. Yeah, that's right. The magic is a substance called mucilage. If you were to crush a fresh mallow leaf in your fingers, it feels slippery, kind of slimy. That slime is made of these complex polysaccharides, which is just a fancy way of saying long chains of sugar molecules that grab onto water, swell up, and create this thick, soothing gel. Now think about it. We want our lettuce to be crunchy, our chips to be crisp, but inside our bodies, that satisfying crunch can actually be pretty harsh. This gel does something truly incredible. In our modern world, so many of us are dealing with constant digestive stress, from acid reflux and heartburn to more serious stuff like chronic inflammation and leaky gut. Our systems are just under constant assault. Processed foods, coffee, spices, even stress. It can all feel like you're rubbing sandpaper on the super sensitive, delicate lining of your digestive tract. Okay, now look at this. When you eat mallow, that mucilage creates this soothing, protective film all the way down, over your throat, your stomach, your intestines. The key takeaway here is that it acts like a natural internal bandage. It's like putting cool, soothing aloe vera gel on a sunburn, but for your insides. It's not just masking symptoms, it is physically protecting the tissue, giving it a chance to actually heal itself. I mean, spinach is good for you, kale is packed with vitamins, but neither of them can do this. This is unique.
So,
We've got this free, powerful, gut-healing plant growing all around us. Why isn't it being celebrated? Why isn't it in every single grocery store? Well, it's because our main relationship with this plant is to spend billions of dollars every year on chemicals specifically designed to kill it on sight. It makes zero sense until you look at the world from the perspective of industrial agriculture. You see, the very thing that makes mallow an incredible survivor is exactly what makes it a formidable enemy to them. Just look at this comparison. It tells you everything. On the left, you've got a typical crop like corn. Its roots are shallow, needy, totally dependent on whatever's in the topsoil and constant watering. But on the right, you've got mallow. That deep, woody taproot, it's a masterpiece of natural engineering. It's like an ecological drill that punches right through compacted clay, even asphalt, to mine for minerals and water that other plants can't even dream of reaching. It's not just feeding itself, it's a soil repair machine. But for big ag, all that self-sufficiency is a huge problem. Okay, for starters, mallow is in the same family as cotton. That means it can host pests like the boll weevil, which is an absolute deal-breaker in a massive farming system. Second, that incredibly tough taproot can literally snap the steel blades of a $500,000 combine harvester. Third, its leaves have this waxy outer layer, like natural armor, so common herbicides just beat up and roll right off. And finally, it's smart. It actually tracks the sun during the day to get the most sunlight, shading out the crops the farmers are trying to grow. It simply refuses to die. And this might be the biggest irony in this whole story. While modern farming is waging war on this plant in our fields, modern food science has been selling us a sugary lie based on its name. So get ready to have your whole view of a campfire s'more completely changed. So the word marshmallow did not come from some magical candy land. It comes from the marshmallow plant, a very close cousin of the one we're talking about. The original marshmallow, first made by French confectioners, was basically a medicinal lozenge. It was made by whipping that mucilage from the plant's root with a little sugar and egg whites. You would buy it from an apothecary to soothe a child's sore throat or cough. The marshmallow we have today, it's just corn syrup, sugar, and gelatin. There's not a single trace of the plant left. They literally stole the name, took out all the medicine, and sold us the sugar. Okay, so the history is incredible, the science is clear. But you want to know the best part? This isn't some exotic plant you have to order online. This free healing pharmacy is probably within walking distance of where you are right now. So let's turn you into a confident mallow spotter. But first, a really quick, important note. Only, and I mean only, harvest plants you can identify with 100% certainty, and only from areas you know are free from pesticides, herbicides, and pollution. Okay? Good. Identifying mallow is actually surprisingly easy. First, just look down. It grows low to the ground with its stems spreading out from the middle like spokes on a wheel. The leaves are the real giveaway. They're roundish with these gently scalloped, crinkly edges. If you touch one, they often feel kind of soft, maybe a little fuzzy. The flowers are delicate and simple, usually a pale white or a light lavender color. But the final, unmistakable test is the fruit. Look for little green discs that look exactly like tiny wheels of cheese. Seriously. For centuries, kids have called them fairy cheeses. If you see those, you found it. And using it is just as simple. The young, tender leaves have a really mild, pleasant taste, and they're wonderful in salads. Because of that mucilage, they also act as a natural, healthy thickener for soups and stews. It just gives the broth this silky, rich body. The bigger leaves are perfect to use as wraps for rice or meat, just like you'd use grape leaves. And those little cheese wheel seeds? You can eat them raw, right off the plant. They have this satisfying little pop and a flavor that's like a cross between a fresh pea and a hazelnut. Or, for the most direct medicinal benefit, just soak the leaves in cold water overnight. The result is this thick, soothing drink. It doesn't taste like much, but the calming effect on a sore throat or an upset stomach is almost immediate. So we end with this thought. We have a plant that just shows up on its own, for free, and asks for nothing from us. It heals our bodies from the inside out, and it heals the soil from the ground up. The world wants you to see a problem that needs to be killed. But maybe that mallow growing in your driveway isn't an invader. Maybe it's an invitation to see that nature often provides the exact solutions we're looking for, if we just have the wisdom to see them. So what is the weed in your yard trying to tell you?